Okay, this next section we're looking at turning English statements into logical propositions. This first one comes from the famous song from, I think, the 1950s. Only you can make the world seem right, and only you can make the darkness bright. So let's define a couple of predicate functions. R of x is x can make the world seem right. And b of x will be x can make the darkness bright. Okay, so for the first part, I want to say that you can make the world seem right, but nobody else can do this. So, and for all x, if x is not you, then they can't make the world seem right. So you can do this, however, anybody else can't do this. So that would be the first part. Second part would be that you can make the darkness bright, but nobody else can. So for everybody else, if they're not you, then they can't make the darkness bright. So this would be one way of doing it. Another way would be to use contrapositives. So R of u, and for all x, if x can make the world seem bright, then x is you. And you can make the darkness bright, and for all x, if x can make the darkness bright, then x is you. So that would be the first one from this famous song from the 1950s. The second one, I know a place where no one is lost and where no one cries. This one's from Les Miserables. And I suggested some propositional functions here. So k is y, I know y. L of x, y is x is lost at place y. And c of x, y is x cries at place y. So there, I know a place. So there is a place that I know. And what's special about this place? What's special about this place is that for all x, nobody gets lost there. So for all x, x is not lost at y. And also, nobody cries there. And so this would be a way of expressing this sentiment using propositional logic. Now we could backtrack this out. So this is a perfectly fine answer. We could backtrack this out using De Morgan's laws. There exists a y such that k of y, and for all x, not L of xy or c of xy. So it's false that anybody's lost or anybody cries. That doesn't happen for all x. And then we could also backtrack this with De Morgan's laws. I know place y, and it's false that there is somebody who is lost or is crying at place y. So that would be ways of expressing this sentiment from Les Miserables using propositional logic. Next, everybody needs somebody to love. This famous song from the Blues Brothers. Okay, so let's let L of xy mean x needs y to love. Then for all x, everybody, there is somebody that the person needs. So LXY. So that would be, everybody needs somebody to love would be just simply for all x, there exists a y, such that L of xy. Next, one of these things is not like the others, from Sesame Street. So let's define our propositional function, L of xy. X is like y. One of these things is not like the others. So there is something such that for all other things, So for all other things, y not equal to x, then x is not like y. So there is something such that for all the other things, x and y are not like each other. So that is, one of these things is not like the others. We could make this, add a little more emphasis to this, so that to emphasize that all the other things are like each other, but for the purposes of this problem, that works. For the next one, he has all of the virtues that I dislike and none of the vices that I admire. That's one of the great quotes from Winston Churchill when he was critiquing one of his adversaries from his time. Let's talk about this. So let's let g of x be x is a virtue, and let b of x be that x is a vice. G for good, b for bad. Let h of x be he has x, whether it's a virtue or a vice. And let L of x be I like x, whether it's a virtue or a vice. Okay, so he has all the virtues that I dislike. So for all x, if it's good, and it's something that I don't like, if it's good and it's something that I don't like, then he has it. So if it's a virtue, if it's good, and I don't like it, then he has it. And for all x, if it's a vice, if it's bad, and I do like it, then he doesn't have it. So if it's a virtue and I don't like it, then he has it. And if it's a vice and I do like it, then he doesn't have it. So that's the way of writing that in propositional logic. Next, somebody knows every country song. Somebody knows every country song. So let's define k of xy would be that x knows y. Then this would be that there is somebody such that for all country songs y, k of xy. And for this one, the domain of y would be all country songs. So for every, there is a person such that for every country song, x knows y. And finally, no student has taken every class at UNT. So let's define c of xy to be x has taken class y. Then no student has taken every class at UNT. So it's false that there exists somebody who has taken every class at UNT. So it's false that there is somebody who has taken every class at UNT. Now if I use De Morgan's laws to reverse this, this would be for all students x, there is a class that the student has not taken. So this would probably be the more succinct way of saying it. For every student, there is a class that the student has not taken. So that would be the way of expressing this as a logical proposition.